We shall never, never, never surrender. We shall never, never, never surrender. 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 Never, never die. Museveni will die someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe Museveni will die someday.
Mr. Unbroken, actually an accusation that we are attempting to frustrate investigation. That's a very serious one, which cannot go unchallenged, Your Worship. We pray that be pleased to expand that from the record if he wishes to withdraw it, because it's a very, very unfair accusation. Yes. No apologize, because Your Worship, if anything, it's the accused persons who are interested in the expeditious disposal of this matter. Because their liberties are curtailed. They have been in state detention since the 16th of November last year. It's coming to 6 months. They have not been tried in any way. We are just embroiled in this ping pong, this gymnastics orchestrated by the state. We're not part of that. We're not responsible for that. For the record, Your Worship, the application before you was filed on 5th of March by the state. 5th March. If I may ask, why that inordinate delay? What were they waiting for? Since the time the accused persons were kidnapped from Nairobi, illegally transferred to Uganda, their phone, their handsets confiscated because they have been in custody of the state. Since the 16th of November, the state has been in possession, in custody of the handsets. And they made no application whatsoever to access the data on those phones. Since 16th November, all through December, January, February, they wake up in March and file an application to access the data on these phones. And now they have the audacity of accusing us. Very, very unfair. So, Your Worship, we take exception to that very unfair accusation. Lastly, Your Worship, I think the question is very simple. It's not about when the application was filed, how fast it is being processed, when is it likely to be disposed of. The question is very simple. Is the application there or not? My land friend in Pang here submitted to court the file number, the application number, it is 17 of 2025. Unless the state has doubt about that, in which case the court can verify. But if that is a settled matter that the application is pending, then there is nothing to argue about. It's all about waiting for court to dispose it of. How long it takes, it's none of the business of this court. You can't set timelines. So we pray that Your Worship, without wasting any more time, you be pleased to have this matter adjourned until such a time when the application will be disposed of. We assure the court, the High Court is also mindful of the urgency of these matters. But I reiterate our prayer that Mr. Unbroken should find it within his heart to withdraw the unfair accusations against us. We do so, pray, Your Worship.
Your Worship, the reason why we submitted that this is one of frustrating investigation is because the defense was concealing vital information which should have been given to this honorable court. Because they had, you know, when you conceal, it's like you're in one or the other, you don't mind. What I expected. Your Worship, I thought I was responding to.
Then you respond to what he has said. Don't raise it.
Exactly.
Because no.
Let me respond. The reason why, because when I respond, I have to talk about frustration because it came up in this. So should I just leave it, Your Worship, like that? Because we talked about it. I seek your permission. When you say I respond to what he has submitted, and in this submission you talked about frustration. But when I talk about frustration, you say I shouldn't say anything about it. Then what should I respond to?
No, concealing. You talked about concealing, and that's what I'm talking about. So, can we stick to the frustration bit that you talked about without necessarily going into...
About concealing, I
Yes.
can't get another word. The reason why I submitted that defense is frustrating the investigation is because when my senior colleague in Panga was addressing court, he didn't find it necessary to inform this court on when the said application for revision was filed. And yet to us as a prosecution, it is vital. And why is it vital? It's because this matter was last in court on the 4th of April. And it was adjourned today, 30th of April, for mention. The reason for that was to ensure that court is updated on the status of that application. It ceases to be an update when my senior colleague uncourteously comes and informs this court how the application was filed. And the reason why we needed to know when it was filed is to understand whether the defense are taking that application seriously.
Your Worship, I wish to object.
No.
No, I'm objecting. Your Worship, the base of my objection is as follows. Having heard from both parties involved, it's true that the application for revision is not yet filed and therefore anticipatory at this point in time. The normal procedure, as defense has put it, is to file at High Court, which calls for the record. They have, however, indicated that time is of essence, and since the court made a ruling this very day, proceed with cross-examination. Should court continue with hearing of the said application, the rights of the accused to apply for revision will be trampled upon. Yes, this court can stay its own proceedings, but only upon proof of an application at High Court, which the High Court itself will call for the file, not in case of anticipatory matters to be filed. However, to enable the accused person to exercise their right, the court will adjourn this matter for mention to the 30th of April, 2025 at 10 a.m. That is the ruling. Now, my objection is that Mr. Bilbubuka is reading too much in the ruling. It doesn't state that the defense tells us when the application was filed, when it will be heard, and how it is progressing. The adjournment was to allow the filing or the accused persons to exercise their right. They have done so. Perhaps, Your Worship, we can adjourn or stand over the matter so that counsel can access the registry or the ICMIS to verify this number.
No. Proceed.
I think this is the arrogance I'm talking about. You see, if you file, whether it is a physical filing, whether it is by ECMIS, it has a date. This is what we are talking about. We want to know when the application was filed. Maybe I can explain further for you to understand. Where a matter, on the 4th of April 2025, my senior colleagues intimated to court how even that application was ready on that particular day. I remember. The anticipation, our anticipation was that it would be filed not far from that time. The date of filing speaks a lot to how and when that application is going to be fixed. And it also speaks to how they value that application. And if the application, for example, was filed yesterday, it demonstrates how the defense is intending to frustrate the investigations. Because we have been on record ever since we filed our application that that application was intended to enable or facilitate the investigations. So it is not a luxury, Your Worship, for this court to be informed on when that application was filed.
If we shall be allowed to respond.
Be opening up a Pandora box.
Yes. So we can be allowed, we shall respond.
Don't
Because, because, Your Worship, when I was submitting, I was stopped. So you can reopen, we shall respond.
I think the procedure is known of proceeding in court. So the matter is adjourned, it stays as that.